kind of hone in on is managing your expectations.
Absolutely. This is what I know to be true. We often expect people to do what they've never done. We expect people to be who they've never been. We expect people to give us gifts and presents when they've only given us coal all throughout the year. So what I know to be true is if you monitor your expectations, you can monitor and in fact improve your level of peace. Expectations are everything. Yes, it's important to, expect people to do good. It's important to expect them to be kind. The reality is everybody's not going to do what they're not going to do, and they also cannot give you what they don't have. So stop expecting people to be who they've never been.
Okay, that's a word right there. All right, so I see the motivational speaker is coming out.
It's coming out.
It's coming out. Okay.
No.
We got to learn to let go. Here's what I've learned. I ended a relationship where a relationship ended me.
It's all right. It wasn't for you.
It just wasn't for me, but that was the part. Learning to let go was because I had to get to a place, and I'm still getting to a place where I realize acceptance is a form of peace. When you learn to accept what is, you can begin to be open to what can be. But often we carry the baggage, we carry the hurt, we carry the pain, and it's fine to lament. There is a season for lamenting. As a therapist, I work with folks in grief all the time. But this is what I know. We have three options when we go through trial. We can either stay lamenting, we can die, or we can learn to accept, get resolved, and evolve. You have a right to evolve and let a new life happen to you. The picture of the jade tree, and this is what I love about this particular plant, just like many other plants. The plant grows based on the soil that it's in, and it grows based on the pot size that it's in. And so just like plants, we are. If you put us in small pots, in small relationships, in small working spaces, working places where we don't have what we need, we don't have healthy relationships, we don't have healthy people around us, we won't grow as much. But when you put the pot in a larger, or the plant in a larger pot, when you give it nurturing soil, when you cultivate the garden, when it's in healthy relationships, when it has love and vibrancy, it can grow in magnanimous ways. Evaluate the soil that you're in. Y'all, baggage exists amongst us all. We all have baggage. Here's what I know to be true about baggage. Think about it. If you keep clothes from the gym, y'all can see I'm buff, so I go to the gym. But if you think about those who have clothes from a gym bag, if you keep it in the closet, I don't care where you put it, you're going to eventually begin to smell it. If you put dirty clothes, dirty bags, trash, so it will eventually begin to rot and fester and seep. Listen, here's what I know to be true. Feelings buried alive don't die. They show up in other areas of your life. They show up in your marriages. They show up in how you parent. They show up in how you tend to yourself. And so unpack your baggage. What did Erykah Badu say? I love it where she goes, bag lady. Let me get my Houston debut. You gon' hurt your back. She says, you can't hurry up because you got too much stuff. One day, all those bags, they're going to get in your way. What do you think?
Feel it.
Yes. And you got to be able to feel it in order to deal with it so you can heal from it. Feel, deal, heal. What I can feel, I can deal. And what I can deal with, oh, you best believe, baby, I can heal it.
Yes, and I think the biggest thing.
Season to season. How many folks do you know that go from season to season and don't take time to unpack where they've been and also where they're going? And here's what I know as a psychotherapist. We perpetuate what we don't evaluate. So if you don't take time to unpack where you've been and reflect and realize this ain't working for me, this is where I want to go, you're doomed to recreate the patterns.
I love that.
And so that's why it's about creating a vision.
We perpetuate what we
don't evaluate.
I love that. Time of crisis.
The only time to go to therapy is if you are alive.
Right.
The only time to go to therapy is when you want to evolve. The only time to go to therapy is when you want to grow.
I have always
Think
found
about
that
it. We have different parts of our brain. When you are in crisis mode, you're in the amygdala, the animal brain, where you're in fight or flight mode. When you're in crisis mode, you spend on things you shouldn't be spending on. You boo up with somebody you shouldn't be booed up with. You eat what you shouldn't be eating when you're in crisis mode. But when you're in healthy mode, you're in the frontal lobe, more conscious, more cognizant. Having a good therapist can bring you from animal brain to healthy brain. And that's what concerns me. That's what troubles me. I really wonder what has happened to her as a person, as a mother, for her to be so detached, and not just at the crime her child committed, but also at the fact that people are dead. And the last thing I'll say is this: we talk about parental responsibility expectations. I just don't know for the life of me consciously how you can believe that if a parent purchases a gun for a 15-year-old and purchases 100 bullets, how they believe they're not responsible to ensure that gun is cared for responsibly. You can't leave it up to the other parent. You can't leave it up to the kid. His frontal lobe isn't fully developed yet, where he makes his critical decision-making skills. He probably doesn't even go to bed on time or eat healthy, nutritious meals. So how the heck do you expect him to care for a loaded weapon? That's the concern here, the disconnect between her job as a parent and what her child needed. Secure the welfare of the child, and it just didn't happen here on so many instances, and it's deeply troubling. It fell on deaf ears. And one thing that I was really troubled by in this particular case was the fact that how disconnected the mom was, her level of disassociation. And even when she was making calls from jail after she had been arrested, it took her more than 17 times before she actually asked about Ethan's welfare. So that shows you the level of disconnect. I don't know on Mars, Jupiter, Earth, or Pluto where a parent would be arrested and then it takes them 10, 12, 15 calls to their attorney before they actually ask about the welfare of their child. So that shows you the depth and the volume of this disconnect.
That's interesting.
Yes,
you know, health-wise, and just keep it moving.
Keep it moving cognitively and even from a heart standpoint. We know from the cardiac health, when you carry stress and shame and trauma and grief, it eats at your soul, it eats at your body.
Yeah.
This stuff is interconnected. Oh, learning to let it go.
What? Michael, this was so inspiring and empowering.
Yeah.
You can come back anytime.
Our receipts.